Yo, yo, yo. Need my screen pulled up. Welcome everybody coming into the stream. I guess I'll pull Discord up. This stream's probably gonna be like, I'd say maybe an hour long. I'm not gonna make it too crazy because I have work in the morning. But let me switch this to streamer mode and then I can get started. All right. It's not receiving enough to maintain smooth streaming. One second, my stream is messing up again. It says stream status poor, but my bitrate's fine. I'm gonna switch over to the screen and you guys let me know if everything is fine with the stream, if audio is going in and out or if anything's wrong. I'd appreciate it. How's it going, man? Is everything's good or is it messing up? Because it's saying YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, but my OBS is fine, so I just need like one confirmation and I'll get started because I don't want to start rambling and nobody can hear me. It's fine for you? Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, so let's get started. So basically, if you guys haven't heard, if you're new to the channel, I'm Henry the 12th. You can like the stream or subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll get that out of the way. Anyway, if you haven't heard, NVIDIA just released or announced the RTX 3080 Ti graphics card. And it's going to be releasing tomorrow morning. And for America specifically, it's releasing at Micro Centers apparently, which I didn't know. And which I could have assumed, but I didn't know. But it's also releasing at Best Buy. And I'm going to be talking about, first of all, how the Best Buy drop's going to go, talking about online and everything like that. And then I'm going to get into some of the more different stuff as far as like EVGA, Elite, stuff like that, and how you can become an Elite member without buying a card. I'm going to give you guys a tip on that because I just literally did it. So I'm going to introduce you guys to that. Maybe it'll literally give you an advantage to be able to sign up for the queue a day early. So I'll put you guys onto that. And yeah, we'll just talk about my thoughts on the card in general and everything like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's read some of the chat though. NVIDIA releasing all these crazy GPUs and then there's me still looking for the 3060 Ti. Man, like I saw a comment on a video that was talking about how basically since they're selling so many 3070s that they're going to like not stop producing the 3060 Ti, but it's going to be like on the back burner basically. They're not going to be making that many. But hopefully you can get your hands on that, man. I have had trouble getting a 3060 Ti myself, so hopefully you have good luck with that. Hopefully I can get a 3070 while everyone tries to get new cards. That's smart. But this is the thing, I'm going to talk about the drop. Well, I'll go ahead and get into that right now. I'll segue into it. Thank you for that comment. As far as the actual drop, so people might ask, is Best Buy going to do an actual drop tomorrow? Are they going to release everything? I don't think that they're going to do everything. I think it's just going to be the 3080 Ti because if you go on the 3080 Ti listing on Best Buy, which I'll pull up right now, it shows only in store. You can only get this in store. And I want to talk about that right now. So basically how this drop is going to go specifically for Best Buy is you have to be at the store. You can go ahead and line up. Actually, I was going to mention that if you're not lined up right now, you might be too late. I mean, it depends on the store. My local store, I passed by it earlier today at around 1:30 p.m., 2 p.m., which is very early, by the way, very, very early. And there was nobody there, obviously. The store was just like normal. Nobody was in front of it lining up. I'm pretty sure if I were to go now, there'd be at least one person there. If there wasn't, I'd be very surprised. But I'm hearing other stores are having crazy numbers. Actually, I'll go ahead and pull up this chart that the lovely people at ATR created. They basically created a Google Doc that has all the locations on it. And I'll go ahead and zoom in for you guys so you can see. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but you can see the gist of what I'm talking about. So all the locations are here. It actually doesn't have the location of my store, which I thought was kind of weird. But these, I think these are user inputted. I don't think these are from any there's one chart that I saw from someone else that posted one. He had a chart from internal, like basically from Best Buy themselves. And then this chart, I think, is either that or it's user inputted. But basically, you can see most of the stores are getting like 40 cards, 60 cards, 50-ish, basically 40 to 60 cards. There's one store that got like 12, which I thought was kind of unfortunate. But this one has 10. But most of the stores are getting about 40 to 60, which like I said, it depends on the store. If you have a store like mine, which there wasn't anybody there, if I didn't have work in the morning, I swear to you, I would have been lined up today at 2. Like I would have just been chilling in my car. But I have to get up. And how they're doing it is basically you line up and they're giving out vouchers at 7:30 a.m. and then they're going to open the store at 9. So basically the vouchers will tell you basically if you get one of those, if you're lined up and you get a voucher, that means you're able to get a card. And they're only going to have so many vouchers for the amount of cards they have, obviously. And basically you get a voucher at 9 a.m. They're going to let you guys in and you just buy the card. And according to the post, which let me pull up the Best Buy corporate post. This is the post where it actually announces the information. According to this actual post, it says that let me find the actual part that I was looking for. It mentions basically you have to go in right after you get the ticket. Where does it say that at? Here we go. All customers with a ticket must enter the store when it opens. Because my plan was, I was thinking, okay, 7:30, I'm going to be late for work. I was like, maybe I can like call in to work, explain the situation and try to get back early. Basically get my voucher at 7:30, go straight to work and then come back after work and get the card. But not only would I be risking everything because I'll already be late and I don't need to be late, obviously. But also, I don't know if I'd be able to actually still get the card after. Even though I have the voucher, I don't know if they'll leave it up there for me. So I didn't want to take that chance, not only for the card, but also for my job, obviously. So, but that's just me. But I would definitely have been standing in line. Only Best Buy. I think for the in-store drop, it is Best Buy only because it's the FE. FEs are only sold by Best Buy. Jay's 2 cents, which I'm going to talk about later, he said Micro Center, which I've never seen Micro Center sell an FE, so I'm not sure about that, but Best Buy for sure. And they said Canada as well. Oh, God, I mean, I can still technically get a 3070 if the price don't get too wacky. Card is even out, and homie's already planning to rent the place. Yeah, people are lined up already, man. It's crazy. It's insane. But I'm going to get into my thoughts on the GPU as a whole. So from the reviews that I've watched, which I've watched Gamers Nexus review, I've watched Hardware Unboxed review, I watched the Jay's 2 cents review. I skipped the benchmarks though. What I'm getting from this, basically, I don't know the numbers on hand, but it's basically a slightly trimmed down 3090. I wish I had the numbers on hand, but I just came on here to basically spill out a lot of information before the drop tomorrow. It's basically a slightly trimmed down 3090 with half the VRAM. So it has 12 gigs of VRAM instead of the 10 on the 3080 instead of 24 on the 3090. It's very, very close. Any review you'll watch, you'll basically see it be within 2% of a 3090, a lot of the times matching the 3090 in performance. And as mentioned by Jay's 2 cents, which is one of the better parts of his video, he mentioned that if you have an AIB version of Linus' review, I haven't watched his video yet. I haven't watched Linus in a minute, actually. But if you watch in Jay's 2 cents review, he made a good point where he basically spoke about how the AIB versions of the 3080 Ti will be even better than the 3090, or basically matching or be even better than the 3090, and they will cost less. So that is actually good to hear. If you can get your hands on one, if you're in that range, I mean, if you're already trying to spend that amount of money on a card to get the absolute best, the 3080 Ti, I mean, it's not absolute best, obviously, but if you get an AIB card, you'll be there. It's definitely better than the difference between a 3080 Strix versus a 3090 FE, because even I remember in early 3080 times, like when it was first coming out, I was looking at the Strix reviews and it was kind of getting there, but there's still enough room to where I could still argue, okay, 3090 is better. But with this card, the 3080 Ti AIBs, if you can get it under 1500, there's basically no reason. I mean, other than being worried about VRAM, there's no reason to think that it wouldn't be able to perform on par with the 3090. So it's a decent idea. Now, as far as me personally, I have a 3080 currently. I've had pretty much every card that has released, and I would go for the 3090 just out of, like, I guess, ego. I don't know about ego. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but basically just to make sure that I have the best card, I would just go for the 3090. But this isn't a bad idea. But I can't see myself standing in line just because of my work things. But I definitely would stand in line if I didn't have work tomorrow, and I would probably sell the card for MSRP or something like that for you guys. But because I personally don't need it, I'm still looking for a 3090 myself. But my recommendation to you guys, if you should buy this card, I guess. First question, if you should buy this card, I'm not sure. Depends on what you want. I mean, it's a very, very, like, hard sell because they slotted it right between the 3080 and 3090. You can easily just get a 30, not easily, but when I say easily, I mean, like, in comparison. You can get a 3090, which will do the same thing, and you'll have way more VRAM, and it's only, like, I mean, it's gonna, after tax, it's gonna be probably like $100-$200 more. So you might as well get the 3090 and have the VRAM buffer. I mean, for 4K and stuff like that, at least. I mean, I don't know, but it is what it is, man. I would definitely recommend to the average person to get something like a 3070 because I've used a 3070, and on the games that I play, which at the time when I was testing it, I was playing Rocket League, Modern Warfare, and one other game I can't remember, Watch Dogs Legion, I think, something like that. When I put in the 3070, I couldn't even tell the difference without looking at the FPS counter. That's how close it was. And I'm not saying it was, if you look at any reviews, it's going to be like 10% difference. But I'm just saying from my eyes, like, just average gameplay, being the normal gamer, I couldn't tell the difference. So if I can't tell the difference, it must be a decent enough, I guess, close enough together to be able to get that card instead. And that's a $300 savings that you'll get, or no, $200 actually, because $500 to $700. So you save $200 getting a 3070, and you'll get somewhat similar performance. So I'd recommend that to the average person, or the 3080, of course, if you're coming from like a 2080 Ti or something like that. I feel like Linus just ignored the fact that 3080 exists. Like, yeah, if you were already looking at a 3090 for gaming, the 3080 Ti comes in, but the 3080 is too close on performance for price. I guess so. I mean, I guess you're right because I personally was looking at the 3090 for gaming. Not for gaming, but I don't do much outside of gaming and content creation. So I'm not going to use the 3090 for what it is, but I would still buy it just because it's the best card, and I have the leisure to be able to do that. But in that case, yeah, the 3080 Ti does come in at a decent, like, close enough performance. So I guess you're right. But let me get into some juicy stuff. So this is really, really important. I want you guys to try to do this because basically, EVGA, what they're doing is they are doing this elite program to where you can get, basically tomorrow at 9 a.m., I think 9 a.m. Eastern, EVGA is going to allow you to basically sign up to get the card. And if you're an elite member, you get to do it tomorrow. If you're not an elite member, you have to wait until, I think, the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of people are wondering, okay, well, how do I become an elite member, right? To be an elite member, you have to either sign up through getting like points, Twitch points, stuff like that, or you can register an EVGA product. And I know a lot of people, myself included, could not register an EVGA product because they don't have one. They haven't bought a 3080 or they haven't bought an EVGA product in the past, so they weren't able to register. But depending on where your moral compass lies, you can easily, I won't say easily, but it's possible that you can register a card that someone is selling on eBay. And I've seen it happen, and I have I've allegedly done it. So if you go on eBay, basically all I did allegedly was go on here and I typed in 3080 EVGA. And basically you can go through these listings and find one, and try to find one with a serial number showing, and then you just register it and you become an elite member, and then you can sign up to get a card early. So depending on where your moral compass lies, this is a way to get a sort of an advantage of getting a card. I just wanted to show you guys that. And people in the Discord are doing it. I've seen a bunch of people do it. So if you want to, I mean, some people might look at it as, oh, we're getting back at the scalpers. You know, however you want to justify it, you can do that. So that's an option. And it's definitely, I'd recommend you guys to somehow become an elite member, because it is quite the advantage. A full day of signups, that can be months of waiting that you'll save. So I definitely recommend you do that. And if you do end up becoming an elite member, or if you are already, try to be in line or try to be ready on the website at 9 a.m. Eastern to get the signups ready, because the earlier you are, obviously the less time you have to wait to get one. So that's definitely something that I would look into. But overall, this card is very interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it overall. It's kind of like it's a weird drop. I feel like it shouldn't exist, because the 3080 is already a very good card. The 3090 is like the luxury. I always looked at 3090 as like top of the line luxury for gaming, at least. For content creation, obviously it has its uses, but for gaming, it's like, oh, this is like the top of the line, the thing you go for. But now they slotted in this 3080 Ti, and it's just in the way. I mean, it's kind of weird. Will they restock other GPUs? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to restock any other GPUs. Number one, because it's been a week since the last drop. And I think someone asked earlier, I'm sorry, California, you commented first. You asked me, did I get any cards from the drop? I did not. Number one, I wasn't home, so I wasn't able to actually have my whole setup. And I was at work on slow computers. And number two, the 3090, the card that I was going for, didn't restock at all in my area, which was very unfortunate. So the card that I was actually going for didn't even restock. So I tried to get anything, or I tried to just get anything, 3070s, 3080s, anything like that for you guys or for any people in the chat, but I couldn't get anything. So it is what it is. It's always, every time I'm not home, I miss. Like, that's literally the only time that I'm not home, or that I don't get a card from the drop, is when I'm not home. When I'm home, I get a card every time. I've never not gotten a card when I've been here during a drop. So it is what it is. Check Frederick VA. Says 34 people in line, apparently. Timestamp at 3:57. So that was like 6 hours ago. So if it's 34 people in line 6 hours ago, you might be screwed, bro. Not gonna lie to you, because there's probably gonna be triple that now, or double that at least, and they're only gonna have 40 to 60 cards. So you can always, I mean, you said you're close to it. You can just pull up and see what the line's looking like. But if it looks like there's 50 to 60 people there, like if you count like 50 or whatever, just keep going, bro. It's a wrap, unless you want to stay up for the chance at getting one. But I wouldn't even do that. Once I see a line past like 30-ish, I'm questioning whether or not I want to go or not. Now, I want to talk about this review from Jay's 2 cents. Let me actually pull it up. I just watched this video. Now, I'm not going to talk about shilling or anything like that, but I just want to mention I dislike the video. I don't dislike a lot of videos. I don't. I can count on two hands the amount of videos I've disliked in my whole life, right? This is probably the fifth one, or sixth, one of the two. I don't dislike a lot of videos. There's not many things that piss me off on YouTube. If I get clickbaited, sometimes I'll allow it. Sometimes I'll get mad, but I won't dislike the video. There's only a few videos that I dislike. Now, this review, I mean, the thing about Jay is he never really picks a side. He picks a side, but he's never really negative. Even when he claims to be negative, like towards a company, specifically NVIDIA or Intel, even when he claims to put the hammer down and, when he's trying to basically talk about something that the company is doing incorrectly or wrongly, he doesn't seem to do enough. Like, if you watch Hardware Unboxed, if you watch Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips, when they have to talk about something, they put passion into it. They go hard into it, and they're gonna let you know how they feel about it. But I didn't like the way he delivered this last bit, and I'm going to play it so you guys can hear the part that I'm talking about. Basically, he mentions how I'll just play it.
At this point now, because you have several cards above that. I would have liked to have seen that, but obviously that's not the case.
Basically, context, he's talking about how he would have liked to seen them put more effort into making more mid-range cards and not more high-end cards. That's the context right now.
So this is where you guys sound off in the comments below on whether or not you think this was a dumb move. I think I already know the answer. I think you guys are just mad. I think they could have come out with this card and been like, we're gonna give it away. And you guys would still be mad because
that's the part. That is the exact part. I want to play that back so you guys hear what he said. He said, I'm gonna play it back.
Case. So this
actually listen to what this man is saying, bro.
This is where you guys sound off in the comments below on whether or not you think this was a dumb move. I think I already know the answer. I think you guys are just mad. I think they could have come out with this card and been like, we're gonna give it away. And you guys would still be mad because
he says we're just mad. I don't know about me, but basically he's saying people that are upset about this launch are just mad. Just mad. Key emphasis on just. They're just mad because even if they gave the card away for free, they still wouldn't be able to get one. That is probably one of the most insensitive things I've heard from Jay specifically ever. Like, I try to be very like open and understanding to everybody, but sometimes I have to correct myself because I've been fortunate enough to get a lot of cards, and sometimes I might come off as making it seem like things are a bit too easy. I will never say something is easy, but I'll try my best to make you guys understand where I'm coming from as someone who's been able to get a lot of cards. It's not easy, but you still have an opportunity to get one, and I still believe that to be so for at least most people in America. I don't know about people outside of the United States. But for you to say that people are just upset about this launch, they're just mad because they wouldn't be able to get a card, that's very insensitive in my opinion, because there are people that have literally been trying since September to get one of these cards, and you just say that they're just mad. Like, it's not about just being mad. This entire last 9 months of stock has been ridiculous. People have a reason to be mad. Like, this card is literally just a slap in the face. The fact that I predicted that when they were announcing this card and when the rumors were coming out and it was actually gonna come to fruition, my idea was like, okay, for the pricing, I think they're gonna charge $1,000, but if they really want to be greedy, I said the max they can do is probably $1,200. And the reason why I thought that is because I'm thinking $1,200 is the highest amount that they can charge to not only not interfere with the rest of their card lineup, but to also piss people off. I think if they charged anything higher than $1,200, people would just be pissed. But people are pissed anyway at $1,200. I think they should have made it $1,000, but the fact that they made it $1,200 just shows you they don't care. They're trying to make the most money. They're basically the new middleman when it comes to the scalping stuff. They're scalping their own stuff basically. Like, they obviously don't care. And he did mention in the video about them doing the whole light hash rate thing, but how can you do something like light hash rate and then, like, with the cards, make them a light hash rate and then just drop a card for $1,200 that people still can't buy? Like, it's like you don't know where you're at. It's the same thing that I think Gamers Nexus, or no, it was Hardware Unboxed mentioned. They don't know how to read the room. Very good, very well said review, or well stated review from Hardware Unboxed. He basically said they don't know how to read the room. They're doing one thing that is supposedly helping people, and then they're doing something else that's just slapping them in the face. So I don't really like the way he worded that. I thought it was really disrespectful to all the people that are still trying to get cards, because, you know, this is someone who gets cards every drop. He gets all of them for free. Like, he doesn't have to do anything. Obviously, I'm not discrediting all the work he's done to be able to be in a position to do that. However, in his position, he still should be humble and understanding enough to understand why people are upset, not just say that they're just upset, because it's a bit, you know, demeaning. So I just wanted to point that out. You can watch the rest of the review because I don't want to make it seem like I'm cherry picking specific things. Everything leading up to this part was just objective, speak about the card and everything. And another thing he mentioned in this review, I don't want to take too long about this video, but Another thing he mentioned was the fact that we should not. He didn't say we should praise NVIDIA. I'll just play it. I'll play it so you guys can hear the part that I'm talking about.
Because you know you're still not going to get it. So there's a lot of emotion involved in this cycle of graphics cards in this family, where I ask that you guys do your best to put your emotions aside.
He asked us to put our emotions aside, which is somewhat true, but how can you tell someone? It's such a high horse thing to say. How can you tell someone that's been trying to get a car for 9 months to just put their emotions aside? Like, you literally sound like an NVIDIA rep right now. You sound like an NVIDIA rep.
And at least be objective in saying what the card is and what it's supposed to do.
That's the part that I was talking about. He said we should at least be objective in basically what he's trying to say is ignore everything that's going on. Look at the card for the performance. It gives good performance. Ignore the price, ignore the shortage, ignore everything. Ignore scalpers, mining, ignore everything. If you look at the card, if you laser focus in on the card and its performance, it's good. That's basically what he's saying. How can you do that? Like, how can you do that? It's impossible. You cannot do that. That's so disrespectful, man. I really don't like the way he worded that. But I mean, what can you do? But on a side note, I do like the way that EVGA priced their card at $1339/$1399. That's a good price, because they could have easily went the scalper route and charged $1,800 for AIB, but they tried at least to be understanding, so I appreciate that. Let's read some comments. I'm really worried as to how pricing will get fucked this gen. NVIDIA realized people are paying too much, and I'm afraid we'll get 2000 series supercharged. Realize people are paying too much, and I'm afraid we'll get 2000 series supercharged. I think it's already happening, but you're right. I mean, I can't really speak too much about 2000 series because I came in late, but I am sort of upset about it because I remember when I was first building my computer. This was in, I think, around June of 2019 when I had first moved here, and I was building a brand new computer. I just bought whatever was some of the best stuff at the time. I got a 9700K, and I bought a 2070 non-super, because at the time there was no super line. I wasn't in the know about there even being rumors of a super line. I didn't even know when the card released, which I think it released in September of the year before, or something like that. I didn't even know when that card had released. So I was just buying whatever was the best at the time. A month rolls over and they just dropped the super line, which is basically the same exact card as mine. It's a better card than mine, 10% better, I think, or around that range, for the same price. And I couldn't get a refund. I called Gigabyte, which is the vendor of the card I bought. Called Gigabyte, they would not let me get a refund. I called Newegg, they weren't trying to mess with me. So I lost out on free performance because I just didn't know. And you're right. I mean, the 2000 series was pretty weird as far as the pricing and all that. But you're right. It could end up that way. It definitely could end up that way. The 1080 Ti was around $700 something. Then 2080 Ti was $1,000, and then somewhat now 4080 for $2,000. Oh, I see where you're going. That's interesting. That's interesting because clearly they're seeing that people are paying $1,500. So I think that they're going to continue to make good mid-range cards. You know, good cards that are $30 or $300, $400. I think they'll still do that, but I think they're just gonna make the high end higher, like you're saying. So if you want the best, you're gonna have to pay for it. Like if you want budget, yeah, we have budget for you. But if you want the best, if you want a 30, if you want a 4080, if you want a 4090, you're gonna have to pay. I would not be surprised if the 4090 retailed for, I'd say $800 or $900. I wouldn't be surprised if they slide this product stacked over a little bit. So that's very interesting. How do you buy them on their website? Best Buy's not doing website jobs, in-store only. So good question, by the way. They are not dropping this card on their website. You have to go to the store. And if, like I said before, if you're not there right now, depending on your store, you're kind of screwed. I could probably go to my store right now if I was able to and get one maybe, but right now for most stores it's a bit too late. And I'm mad that I didn't do the stream earlier, but I took a nap, so pardon me. But I wanted to come on here at 2 and do it, because then I could have been like, oh, if you go right now you might be able to make it, but it's 9:50 p.m. and I don't know. But good question, by the way. Thank God for AMD. They really are preparing to stick a thumb up NVIDIA's bum with FSR. That's a good thing. I want to talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up. I really, really like AMD's FSR. Now, I'm worried about the performance because they mentioned, and I have my whole spiel about DLSS, which I will talk about in this stream because I really should get that out. But I appreciate the effort from them, trying to help revive old cards and stuff like that, and working on both AMD and NVIDIA. That is very, very good for them. But you also have to look at it from the lens, not to discredit anything, but you have to look at it from the lens of we're the underdog. We need to find a way to get more market share. We got to do something. So let's do this, right? It's kind of almost like an Android versus iOS type deal. I don't really know how to put it, but basically they're the underdog. They need to find a way to get more market share. So let's appeal to everybody. Let's help out NVIDIA, older NVIDIA cards as well with getting better performance, stuff like that. Because they could have easily went the proprietary route and just went their own way, said you have to buy our products, just like they did with SAM, with Smart Access Memory. They could have easily went that route and this only works on AMD cards, but we'll support our older architecture, our older cards, right? But they were like, no, we'll do this new GPU open program, which is awesome, open source, and let's spread it to everybody, and let's see if we can get this thing at the forefront. And it's a good way. It's a good way to promote it. It's definitely a good look from them, especially how big DLSS is right now. It's definitely necessary. I would say that they needed to do something drastic, and this is the way to go about it. So they did a good job, for real. But God, at least I hope FSR is good enough to slow down the absolute craze of people overpaying for new GPUs. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Because like I was going to mention, the performance gains depending on the game are not that crazy. Like they show like Godfall and all that, but that's on a 6800 XT. So it has room to grow, right? A card like a 1060, you saw let me see if I can pull up the 1060 picture for you guys. If you look at the 1060 picture, this is a 6800 XT at 4K. So it has a lot of room to grow. Obviously, you're picking one of your best SKUs at the highest resolution. So if you drop the resolution, no shit is going to get better performance. Like, duh, right? But if you look at the 1060, which I'll try to pull up the whole picture. If you look at the 1060, it's going from 27 to 38. Depending, and this is at 1440p, depending on who you are, that could be enough for you. To me, though, I mean, I'm like I always say, I have to scale my thoughts back because I'm used to being at the high end. But to me, that doesn't seem like a impactful difference. Like it's a difference. They say it's 41%, but obviously they're boosting it. I love when they use percentage numbers for like stuff like this. That's not really that big of a difference. It's an 11 FPS difference. Let's call it what it is. It is 40%, but come on. But yeah, I mean, you have to look at it both ways. But hopefully FSR is also support on my G. That's a stretch. But the thing I wanted to talk about, which is this is how I feel about DLSS, right? As someone, I try to explain this to people, and I've given people blind tests, and they've come back. I did one in the PCMR chat. I posted 2 screenshots of Cyberpunk. One was with ray tracing on Psycho and DLSS on quality, the highest setting. And then the other was with RTX off and DLSS off, which is basically how the game would look without NVIDIA, interpolation, however you want to put it. And I posted 2 screenshots. I asked people in the chat, which one looks better to you? And only a few people responded. I think 3 or 4 people. Most of them said the picture with the RTX off and the DLSS off. And it goes along with the point that I wanted to make, that I'm not really I'm a fan of DLSS for what it is, but for me and for most people, I don't think it's actually that good. And the reason why is because if you look at any marketing material, right, they market DLSS at 4K. That's what they do. I mean, for AMD, they did it with a 1060, so they had to do it at 1440p because that's the highest resolution they would have been able to run that game anyway, right? But if you notice, for any card they use, that's like when they're trying to really showcase what DLSS can do, they use the highest SKUs, like 3080s, 3090s, 6800 XTs, yada yada, and they do it at 4K. There's a reason for that. The reason why is because it uses a lower base resolution and then upscales it. No shit, right? So if you're at 4K, it's going to use a 1440p for the most part, depending on the game. Base resolution, render resolution, and it's going to upscale it to 4K. If you're at 1440p, it's using a 1080p resolution and upscaling. If you're at 1080p, you're doing a 720p, right? So you get where I'm going. On 4K, I've seen 4K DLSS at work. It's amazing. It looks good because it still has 1440p textures at the bare minimum, and it's upscaling it to 4K. So it's still going to look good. But at 1440p, besides Death Stranding, which is the only game I've ever seen DLSS look flawless, every other DLSS implementation that I've seen has looked trash. Cyberpunk's DLSS looks trash. Let me see if I can pull up these pictures for y'all, because I think I still have them. Let me see if I can pull this up for y'all. I still have the 2 pictures. Here we go. So this is, how am I going to put this? I'll see if I can move it out the way so I can go back and forth. Let me see if I can get this for y'all. And the stream's obviously going to make it look worse than what it is, but maybe I can use, let me change this to zoom so I can show you guys some of the differences I'm talking about. This is the screenshot that I sent. This is a screenshot of the roof of the Afterlife in Cyberpunk, and this is the picture. Let me see which one is which. So this is the picture with RTX on and DLSS on quality. And if you scroll into the newspaper, you see the textures, the leftover debris on the roof. The newspaper is very low res. If you look at even some of this stuff right here in the distance, very low res textures, but it has ray tracing though, right? If you look at this screenshot and you you zoom in on the newspaper, it has a bit more of that texture that it was missing from the DLSS. There's a bit more texture in the distance here. And if you look at the ground, if I switch back and forth, the ground just looks better. It just looks better. You can see right here, this is a really good example. Debris just looks washed out, colorless, looks flat. But if you look at this picture, you see it has that weight to it. It has some shadows here and there. You can still see some resolution there. Now, obviously, some of the aliasing is there in the distance, but textures are the thing that I personally really. And good point, Edutaker. Good point. Or if I'm mispronouncing your name. Good point. It will get better with time, of course. But I just don't like. I think that it's misrepresented and it's marketed as something that works for everybody, when in reality, DLSS and these type of technologies are meant for 4K. It's not meant for 1080p and 1440p. And that's the thing that I wanted to talk about, because people say, oh, well, these technologies help boost my older card. They do, kind of, but you're just making the game look worse. It's basically, I'm not saying it's turning PCs into consoles, but all this is just what consoles have been doing forever. Upscaling, lower resolutions to make it quote unquote look better. But the textures always lose in the end, and I'm a big texture guy. Reflections are cool or whatever. They're cool and nice. It's cool to see it. But I'll take my textures any day. And on Cyberpunk specifically, I get 70 to 80 FPS. Sometimes it dips to around 60 when I have everything off. When I play with ray tracing on and DLSS on, I get around the same performance, but it looks way worse, right? So I might as well not even do that. When I play with RTX on and DLSS off, then it looks really good. I'm not going to lie to you. I can sort of play it like that. It's at 30 to 40 FPS. But Cyberpunk with RTX on, DLSS off is amazing. And a lot of people say you can't run the game like that. You absolutely can. I don't have any screenshots on hand. I might be able to pull up one. But the game looks gorgeous with those type of settings on. And I don't know. That's just my opinion on DLSS. I just wanted to kind of get that out there. I think it's cool, but sometimes it's kind of mid. This is a screenshot of the game running with this RTX on and DLSS off, and it looks very, very good. This is another screenshot right here. The game just looks great. It looks amazing. This is another screenshot. And you can see all the detail is still there with everything. This is full 1440p render resolution. So with ray tracing, it looks amazing. And I just wanted to showcase that to you guys. I know the stream's not going to be able to show it because it's 1080p downscaled. I'm talking here about upscaling, and the stream is fucking downscaled. So I'm missing the mark, but whatever. You get the point. It really depends on the player. I personally value FPS over a lot of visual quality as long as it isn't blurry. See, that's the thing. I feel you. I'm the same way. I'm a big FPS guy. I really like my frames over, like you said, visual quality. But like you also mentioned, it comes to a point where when it just looks like trash, it defeats the purpose. And at first, I'm not sure how I feel about this now, but when DLSS and RTX were first coming out hand in hand, I thought DLSS was literally just a scapegoat to be able to market RTX realistically. Like basically you needed to use RTX. You don't really need it because obviously I just showcased you can play the game with RTX on without DLSS, but it's not encouraged. But you literally almost need DLSS to play games with RTX on. And I feel like until we get a card that can fully run ray tracing, I do think that this generation was a big step up versus the last generation, the 20 series, because the 20 series ray tracing, not only in support but in actual performance, was just atrocious. This card's almost there. I think it's a good first step. We're nearly there. I think the next card is where we're going to see ray tracing really take off, because then you'll be able to play ray tracing games or games with ray tracing without DLSS, and it'll really shine. So I'm ready for that. That's what I'm waiting on. But for now, you can kind of get away with it, but I'll definitely be sticking to playing games at just regular, how they look without NVIDIA stuff, without DLSS, without ray tracing, all that good stuff. Did you go over how to get elite access yet? Yeah, I did. So long story short, you can get elite access by either redeeming Twitch points, stuff like that you earn through their system, or you can register a product, which is what most people do. And you have to have purchased an EVGA product in the past to be able to register it, obviously. So my recommendation to people who haven't bought an EVGA card in the past and obviously can't do anything right now, I wouldn't recommend you go buy something. I would recommend you go on eBay, and 'cause I've seen people do it. You can go on eBay and find like a scalper's listing. Try to find one that shows the serial number and just register it. And like I said, it depends on how your moral compass is, where it lies. If you agree with doing that or not, it's up to you. But I've seen people do it, and I've allegedly done it. But you can go on there, find a card with a serial number exposed, and you can register it under your account, and you get elite access. It's pretty simple. So I've seen many people do it, and I recommend it only because if you want to get your hands on a card, EVGA's elite program is one of the best ways to do it, and you really could use that extra day advantage, because people that aren't elite members won't be able to do it until the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So I highly recommend you do something like that to be able to get the elite membership. Let me see if I get those times correct. Yeah, June 4th at 9 a.m. So you would have to wait a whole day. And that whole day, like I mentioned before, those 24 hours are very crucial, because that could equal weeks or months of waiting. So just that first day, because you got to realize, the system is kind of iffy to me, because it seems like it's pro scalpers and like pro miners and all that. Because obviously there's regular people that have bought EVGA power supplies, motherboards, GPUs in the past that could be elite members. But as far as new people, new builders and stuff like that, who has EVGA products? Oh, scalpers do. People that, have bought a bunch of GPUs in the past. Miners do. People that buy a lot of GPUs. They're already going to have a bunch of cards that they can just register, right? So they're going to be able to do those entries. At first I was thinking, okay, well, why don't they just flip it and let elite members go second? But I quickly thought about it. I was like, that doesn't make sense, because they would kind of, disregard all the people that are actually legit. So all I'm saying, the point I'm making is, it's going to be really packed on that first day, and you need to get in by any means, and that's a way you can go about doing it if you want to. To be fair, I play CSGO at lowest settings. As long as I can see the enemy, even if that enemy is literally from 2008, I'm happy. But if it's so blurry, I can't target it or whatever. Yeah, CSGO is really I play that game on low too, because it's not much to see even when it's on max. I think I upped the textures, or the gun model, where you can see the reflections and like that on the skins. But other than that, the rest of the game runs at low. But my main point to agree with you on this, as far as the FPS over visuals, is Modern Warfare. I play Modern Warfare. I play natively at 1440p. But for Modern Warfare, I play all low settings, everything off or low. That's anti-aliasing, motion blur, everything off. I keep the textures at normal, because the textures at medium or low, or I think low is only setting below normal. Textures at low look like crap, right? So I keep the textures on normal, and then I put the render resolution on 1080p or 75%, however you want to look at it. And surprisingly, the game looks really, really good. Modern Warfare is really good at making the low end look good. I've never seen a game do it that well, actually. But that game, I get like 240, 260 FPS when I play like that. And I lock it at 120 for various reasons, streaming, cooling, all that good stuff. But the fact that I can get 200 plus FPS in a shooter like that, Modern Warfare, is great. And the crazy thing is, I always see games like those advertised at 4K high. Like even on a lot of reviews, people always show benchmarks of Call of Duty or even CS:GO running at 4K max. Like early, even in the keynote, they announced that they're releasing DLSS for Siege. Like, I mean, I guess it's cool, but why would you be running those type of games at the highest setting anyway? I mean, I don't know. Maybe for the campaign, but I don't know. That's just me. I'm like you. I agree with FPS over visual quality to an extent. I really like to have my visual quality on my story-rich first-person games, my story mode games. But as far as shooters, anything fast-paced, Rocket League shooters like Battlefield, Modern Warfare, I need the frames, man. I need the frames, and that's what I pay for. That's what I really pay for. I look at the visual stuff as a side thing. But yeah, hopefully I got everything out. I've been streaming for like 46 minutes. I'm gonna end it here. Hopefully I got all the information that I needed to get out. I explained how you can become an elite member for free without having to get a card. I showed you guys all the information about the release, what it's basically how it's gonna be like, where you can get it from. I'll recap basically in saying that this card is only gonna be at Best Buy stores in store. So you need to be in line right now, I'd recommend, if you want to get one. They are most likely not going to be doing a full GPU drop. So I would not expect 3090s, 3070s, 3060Is to be dropping online tomorrow. I would not expect that at all. And we will wait until next week to see how the 3070 Ti comes out, if that's going to be an in-person release or if it's going to be online. Because if it's in person, that's going to conflict with the timeline as far as the last online drops, because that'll be about the 2-week mark. If it's online, then we know confirmed that, or sort of confirmed, that they will be dropping everything with it. So we'll see next week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Or a great rest of your evening, whatever time zone you're in. Thank you to everybody that came in the chat and chatted up with me. I appreciate all of the comments, man. I really love the engagement. I appreciate it. And if you got some information out of this video, if you enjoyed this stream, be sure to hit the like button. It helps me in the algorithm and all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys' support. And I'll catch you guys later, man. Peace.